Fashionators. I'm back in this bright sunshine while it lasts. Anyway, I was, but clearly on my side of the world, the calendar just doesn't matter. 'Cause, yeah, it's like 50 degrees and it's May. Last week I was in 80 degrees and I left that to come back to this. Like, really? Seriously? I'm so over it. Having been born and raised here, I'm a little kind of very, very tired of being cold. So, anybody who's got like year-round sundress weather, drop me a line because relocation is in the plan. Seriously. But, hi, I'm going to tell my hair doctor what you said, Raquel. Thank you. I went to see him last night. He's a magician, right? He is a magician. I'm a shampoo commercial every time I leave. I love him badly. He's been doing my hair literally since 1998. I haven't had anybody else's hands in my hair, so thank you. Oh, hi, LaTanya. Oh my goodness, so good to see. And Velvet. Oh, thank you. Thank you, honey. I'm trying a little bit something different. You know, it's seasonal. I got to bring in the summer somehow because the weather is not cooperating. But thank you. Oh my gosh. Hi. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about today, and you all feel free to chime in. I'll try to get to you. It's a little distracting seeing the comments come up, but if I don't get to you here, I'll be back. Okay, I'll just talk about it after I get done here. I don't know how much time you have. I am prepared to hang out with you a little while today, a little bit longer than I usually do. So if anything comes to you, just let me know. But what I wanted to start with, at least, was this whole idea of being a prize, because, yeah, that's not working, in case somebody missed the memo. You know, this whole idea of win me, earn me. I can remember when that episode of Scandal aired where Olivia was having this conversation with the president about their status. And since she was the side piece, he wanted her, they weren't together at the time, and he was trying to talk her into coming back to him. And she went ballistic and basically said to him, paraphrasing now, I'm not your toy. I'm not something you can pick up when you get bored. I'm not a whore. If you want me, earn me. And I heard side chicks around the globe stand up and cheer like she had accomplished something in proxy for the rest of them. Like she had somehow made them more meaningful than they actually are by challenging this fictitious president to earn her. Well, here's the deal. Prizes are won. Gifts are given. Love isn't a prize. That's how we get caught up in trying to prove ourselves to people, and why it ultimately doesn't work. Because what people think they want and what they actually want are very often two different things. Even if they have any earthly clue what it is that they want to start with, it's all going to be very different from what they actually expect and what they actually reciprocate in a real relationship. So many times their emotions are in charge of what they say. And they really don't consider what's actually feasible or possible. And that's how we set ourselves up for failure before we ever even get into a relationship. Our expectations are entirely unreasonable. This whole idea of being a prize is one of the classic setups for failure in any relationship. Prizes are won, gifts are given. You cannot earn your way into love. You can't outcompete somebody else or something else for love. Love is a gift. It's not a prize. So the minute you set yourself up as some sort of a prize, then you feel as if you're doing your mate some kind of a favor by being with them. You know, they won you. You're the trophy. I had this conversation on a radio show very recently, the whole trophy aspect of being a prize. And if we think about it just a little bit, trophies, after the competition is over, they end up in a case. And they don't get any more attention until whoever won the trophy is trying to show off their prowess for whatever they got the trophy for. The rest of the time, day in and day out, that trophy is in a case. Doing nothing, being nothing, accomplishing nothing, showing nothing, giving nothing, having nothing. It's a statue in a box. That's what prizes are. But if you want to be in a relationship, if you want to be a partner, if you want to be a teammate, you got to come out of the case. If you act as if once the relationship is established, once the two of you have decided, okay, we're going to be exclusive and we're just going to do this thing now. Once you get to that point, you decide game's over. I got what I wanted. Now all I have to do is maintain this. Now all I have to do is keep enough interest, keep enough anger, keep enough jealousy, keep enough off balance going on in this relationship to keep them tied into it. That's all I have to do. Just keep them wondering long enough to keep them interested. I don't actually have to show up. I don't actually have to partner. I don't have to be vulnerable. I don't have to be honest. I just have to be more on balance than my partner is. That's game playing. That's not relationship building. That prize business is game playing. Gift giving is relationship building. When you understand that who you are and how you are can actually be a gift to someone else's ability to fully and fabulously live out their destiny, then the synergy that you make together is a gift to each other. It's a gift. It's not a prize. It isn't yours. It has to be granted. It can't be gained. You can't bully your way into it. You can't fit or tantrum or manipulate your way into it. It is what it is. You know, if all you're willing to do is be a prize, then fine. Just understand what that actually means for you and what it means for your relationship. It's sort of like that whole predator-prey thing. You know, hunter and hunted. Really? Can we examine that one just a little bit for just a minute? Because I hear this about men constantly. Sometimes I hear it from men. A lot of times I hear it from women. Men like to hunt. That whole thing. The story of the hunter, that whole philosophy, men like to hunt, they like to conquer, they like to chase, they like to all of that. How about that whole story only sounds good from the perspective of the hunter? If you tell that same story from the perspective of the prey, it looks a little bit different. I don't know too many people who will actually be excited about the idea of being prey. In case you weren't paying attention, the story doesn't end well for the prey. As long as you're the hunter and you're big and strong and you're the best and the baddest and all of that stuff, and you win your prize, when you have that prize hanging from your teeth, prize is dead. Feeling victorious? Is that the victory you really want? Is that the honor? Is that the accomplishment? Now, don't get me wrong. I understand the whole competition thing. And it has its place. I'm not suggesting that it doesn't. It has its place. I understand that there's something about testosterone that makes men want to compete. And competition has worked very well for men, especially in a whole lot of areas of life, particularly when it comes to achieving things anyhow. I get that. And now women are adopting in increasing percentages very similar philosophies of how they live their lives. The problem is that they bring the same philosophy into their relationships and they set each other up as competition. They start competing against each other, over each other, with each other. They're always trying to win. Even when they disagree. They have a very hard time simply disagreeing. There's no room in the average relationship for people to have different ways of seeing the same thing and have each opinion be valued equally. There's always this unspoken contest to see who has the best opinion, who is right. How about you can both be right and still be different? Different and wrong are not synonyms. We get together because we're different. Most people, when they get with a partner, they aren't with a partner asking for their partner's input because they actually want that input. What they want is their opinion in somebody else's voice. That's what they want. And if they hear anything different, then that's a trigger for them that it's time to fight. It's time to fight or flee. That's your lizard brain kicking in, cluing you that there's some sort of a false threat. And now you have to protect yourself. And unless you are self-aware enough to consciously override that, then you'll keep living on that hamster wheel of trying to be right. And how is that working for you? Where has it gotten you? Are you closer to the security? Are you any closer to the love that you said you wanted in the beginning, that you dreamed about all of your life? Are you closer to it? Have you been right enough? Have you been right enough to get that? Have you been right enough to earn it? Have you been right enough to win it? Can you ever be right enough to win it? I don't believe you can. Personally, I don't believe it. I don't buy it. I know it's popular. I'm not with it. And I don't encourage it. And I don't promote it. It's just not, it's not what I've seen. And it's not what I know to be true. The minute you set your relationship up as a place of competition or as a place of superiority and inferiority, where you come in as the superior and you're doing your mate some kind of favor by being there, or they had to jump through X number of hoops to get you. Now you're gotten. And you believe, you talk yourself into believing that at that point, you're done. You got what you wanted. You got the relationship. You got the ring on it. You got the same address. Or whatever it is you were after. You got it. You got the sex. You got the money. You got the car. You got the purse. You got whatever. Whatever it was you were after, you got it. And you think game over until you want something else. And then you try to figure out another way to get what you want. And that's what most people consider being in a relationship. This endless string of time that you stay together in order to get what you want from somebody else. When the truth is, what you actually want can only come from you. The best you can do with a teammate is share it. That's why the only relationship you'll ever have with somebody else is the one you're already having with you. It'll never be any better than that. That's why people who get together trying to get away from being lonely, trying to get away from being afraid, trying to get away from feeling badly all the time, trying to get away from sadness, trying to get away from pain, when they get into relationships as a distraction from what their actual life is, the relationship doesn't work out. Even if it lasts, the people in it are miserable because they're trying to make the relationship be for them what they can only be for themselves. It's too much pressure. No other person can be that for you. They can't be your best friend. They can't be your passionate lover. They can't be your only source of validation. They can't be your primary source of fulfillment. They can't be the pivot around which your entire universe revolves in one person. Can't happen. We go into relationships expecting our mates to be for us what entire communities of people used to be for us. And we'll shut down the whole community and put all of that responsibility, all of that energy, all of that effort into one person other than you. One person. How has that worked for you? Are you closer to love because you did it? I don't know. I can't tell you what your personal story is, but I do know this. That the fastest growing divorce demographic in this country as I'm doing this video is among marriages that have been over 20 years. Fastest growing. Meaning they're getting divorced faster than everybody else in this country. Why? I'm sure there are lots of reasons. But I can tell you what I've heard. I can tell you what I've been told. That after the kids got out of the house, that they were finally faced with each other for the first time, probably since the kids were born. And not only did they find out that they didn't trust each other, they didn't even know each other. They looked similar to who they were before the children showed up. But with the children at home as a distraction, they chose to ignore themselves as a couple. So they checked out on each other decades before the divorce ever happened. So when they didn't have that focus of children anymore, it was much easier to check out, which isn't necessarily a bad thing as long as you're being honest about who you are, about what your requirements are in order to go forward. I had one man tell me that he just looked across his pillow one day and decided that he had spent the last 22 years this way and he wasn't going to spend 22 more. Sometimes it's just that simple. Sometimes it's not the big dramatic blow up that people keep waiting for. Sometimes it's not that you walked in and caught your mate having sex with somebody else. Sometimes that's not it. Sometimes it's just that one more time I have to figure out whether you actually meant what you said or whether you meant something else. One more time you said something to me that cut me like a razor blade, and it didn't seem to affect you at all. And I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm just not going to do it anymore. Sometimes it's that simple. Now, am I suggesting that that's what you should do? I can't make that decision. But I will say this. Your life is in your hands. It's not in your mate's hands. No matter what they're doing, what they're not doing, no matter how right or wrong they are, your relationship is what it is because of you, not because of them. And nothing will change until you do. Nothing. Now, when you do change, the relationship will do one of two things. It'll change with you, or it'll change against you. But it will change. It doesn't take two people to change a relationship. Don't be fooled. It only takes one person to change a relationship. It takes two people to get into it, and it takes two people to decide to stay in it. But to change it, only takes one person. Now, once you do change, understand that you making the decision to change could very well upset the fabric of your life as you know it. That can be the greatest blessing of your life if you allow it. But if you decide to let your fears and your worries and your concerns about what other people will think or say or what they will do make decisions for you, you can do that. But you can't do that and then complain that your life isn't what you want it to be. You can't allow your perception of what other people think about you to make decisions for you and then complain about that outcome. That's a choice you made. And that's the choice you're going to live with. So here's a basic rule that I continue to talk about, to promote, to suggest as strongly as I possibly can to anybody that I actually have the privilege of working with. And that is simply this. Nobody who doesn't live with the consequences of what you do with your life gets to make decisions for you. What do I mean by that? I mean that nobody gets to choose who you are unless they're living in your skin. Nobody outside of your skin gets to tell you how to live your life. Not your mate, not your mother, not your children, not your boss, not your church, not your friends, not your family. Nobody outside of your skin gets to decide for you how to live your life. Why? Because that's not why you're here. You came here alone. That's how you're going to leave. You came here apart from all of them. They all came along after you got here. All of them. They're not here to determine your life for you. And if you decide to allow them to, trust and believe that they will. They will. If you let them, they absolutely will. And they'll do it in the way that makes it best for them, not for you. You will be an afterthought if you're a thought at all. They're going to do what feels best to them because that's human nature. That's not evil, it's not bad, it's not wrong, it is human nature. We behave in our own self-interest. And when things get scary for us and we don't want to deal with them, it's easier for us to try to make anyway, other people responsible for that. Then we don't have to show up and we don't have to deal with the consequences. And if it gets messy, we have someone else to blame. That's called ego. And as long as your ego, or as I like to call them, your he-go or your she-go, as long as they're making the rules for you, you'll get results like you've been getting. Building relationships to satisfy your ego is a losing proposition. How do you know you're trying to satisfy your ego? You're making somebody else's opinion or perspective more important than yours. And if there is a direct conflict, you'll choose theirs. And it's all your perception. Your perception may not even be accurate. What you believe may happen may not even happen. And chances are, if it does happen, it's not going to be anywhere near as bad as you believe it's going to be. But you talked yourself into it. You talked yourself into believing that it's going to be catastrophic and you just can't recover. And oh my God, my heart might break. And then I'll be hurt. And my feelings, and my feelings, and my feelings. Tell you about your feelings. What you want to do will wipe out what you can do every time. And what you can do, that's where relationships are made or broken. And what you will do, not what you want to do. That's why what I tell people, I don't really care what they want to do. They think I'm being mean. I'm not being mean. I'm just being accurate. Because I don't care what you want to do. Because what you want to do isn't what you're living with. What you're living with is what you're doing, what you will do. People want to do stuff all the time that they never do. That's why I don't subscribe to that whole when you know better, you do better. Really? How many smokers are there who don't know better? Who buy it and smoke it every day? Find me a smoker that doesn't know better than to be smoking. I'll wait. People don't do better because they know better. They do better because they do better. Want to see what they know? Check them out on New Year's Eve when they're making all those resolutions that aren't going to be kept through the end of the month. They know better. They know they're supposed to eat healthier. They know they're supposed to exercise more. They know they're supposed to be honest about what they want and what they require in their lives. They know all of that. And they want it. They've convinced themselves that that's what they want because they feel this yearning for it. They feel this hunger and this desire for it. And in their world, that's the same thing as wanting it. Well, I'll tell you. When you want something, when you really want it, it becomes what you do. When you really want it, you will do it. You won't talk about it. You won't think about it. You won't wonder or worry about it. You will do it, and you will let the chips fall wherever the chips freaking fall, and you will be grown enough to deal with whatever that is. And you'll be glad you did it. You wouldn't have it any other way. When you wake up that morning and decide that you cannot deal with the idea that you might actually die and leave here without having done that one thing, without having been that one person, without living that one thing that you've been stuffing down for years, trying to make everybody else's expectations comfortable for you, and it hasn't worked? When you wake up and decide that you cannot deal with the idea of leaving this earth without that, you'll do it. You'll do it, and you'll do it gladly. No matter who gets upset about it, no matter whose feelings are hurt, no matter who feels let down by whatever you did. Because believe there's always going to be somebody like that. There's always going to be somebody who thinks you let them down. There's always going to be someone who, you did this to me and you did that to me. You didn't do anything to anybody. You can't do anything to anybody except you. And the minute you stop letting people rope you into that, your freedom is on the other side of that. Believe it. Your liberation is on the other side of other people's expectations for you. On the other side of where you've made yourself comfortable in your misery. That quiet desperation that you live with every breath you breathe and every blink you make. Quiet. Nobody knows it's there behind that smile. Nobody knows it's there because you're such a good person. You're so much fun to be around. You're intelligent. People like to talk to you. People seek you out. You've got hot and cold running charisma. People are comforted by you. You've actually reached out and had an effect, a profound effect on the lives of other people, an effect that they are grateful to you for. All that. And at the same time, you've chosen to live your life in a way that denies you, denies yourself of the truth of who you are and where your heart actually is. And most of the time, it's not your address. It's not your office. It's not your neighborhood. It's not your church. It's not any of that. It's somewhere else. It's at least one other place, and you know where that place is. You know it and you won't go. But you complain about not having it. You complain about not having the benefit of not being there. Well, the only way to get the benefit is to get there. The reason why you don't have the benefit is because you don't want it. You don't really want it, because when you really want it, you'll do it. You'll absolutely do it. Just as a personal note, classic example, I've had people say to me on more than one occasion, "Oh my God, I would be such a different man if I were with a woman like you." And I agree entirely, because I know it's true. They would be. And I also know this. That's exactly why they're not with a woman like me. Because they don't want to be different men. They just want to be different men. Because actually being with somebody like me, as they say, what drew them to me in the first place, what they see in me in the first place, is a lot of work that they just don't want to do. But they want it because it makes sense to them. Makes sense to them. But don't fool yourself into believing that's because it's not available to you. It's absolutely available to you. You just refuse to do it. Just like love. It's available to you. Intimacy is available to you. Happiness is available to you. It's all around you all the time. When people are asking me crazy questions like, where are all the good men? Where are all the good women? They're staying away from you. That's where they are. Because they're trying to find other people like themselves. They're available. They're literally everywhere you go. All you have to be is open enough to actually talk to them, to actually talk to people you've never spoken to before, and to understand that just because they're talking to you doesn't mean they want to marry you. To understand that most of the people that you are attracted to are entirely incompatible with you. That attraction and compatibility are two entirely different things. That most of the people you're attracted to are not suited to share your life with you. But that doesn't mean that you can't enjoy them. It doesn't mean that you can't learn from them. It doesn't mean that they don't have a valuable position in your life. Just because they're not your potential spouse doesn't make them invaluable. The minute you open your heart to value people for who they are and what they are, instead of fussing and cussing about what they're not, the entire dynamic of your life will change. And you'll have room for love in your heart that you never imagined. And from that place that's already loving, it is so much easier to open it to someone who is compatible with you. Someone you are wildly attracted to, who is actually compatible to share your life with you. But it'll never happen as long as your leading thoughts are, this won't happen, they don't do that, love is a joke, whatever. It doesn't happen. Anytime anybody, you see anything positive about love, happiness, any of that, you see it as an opportunity to try to turn it into something negative. As long as that's the case for you, understand that each time you do that, you put another brick in the wall that separates you from the love that you say that you really want. Anyway, I've been here for a while, and hopefully I've shared some things for you to think about, for you to consider. But back to the original, not a prize. And the minute you let go of that idea, the better off you will be. Men are not hunters. Women are not hunted. Men are not predators. Women are not prey. Men are not competitors. Women are not prizes. The idea of a loving relationship is to become a team, to create a synergy together that neither of you could create alone. That's what it's about. Teammates, dream mates. Think of it that way. They're your dream mate. That's what love is. Love is sharing. It's not conquering. At least not over each other. And with all the talk about kings and queens and all that madness, say this about being a queen. Since I am a woman, queens don't fight against their kings. They fight with their kings. And they fight for what's best for the kingdom, even if they have to inconvenience themselves to do it, even if they have to put their selfish wants and desires aside for the sake of the larger kingdom, then that's what they do. And they behave as queen, not concubine. But that's another discussion for another video. For now, my hope is that you will at least reconsider what your expectations are of love in your life and the possibility that you can actually have it because you can. It's available to you. It's all around you. Whether or not you open your heart and allow it, it's up to you. But yes, it will mean that you have to open your heart like you've never been hurt before. You'll have to choose to love like nobody ever let you down. You'll have to trust that the creator of your heart built into it enough rinse and repeat that you can love again. Not only love again, but love better than you ever have before. We live in an abundant universe. There is no shortage of love. Your heart is not limited until you limit it. Trust love. Love is the ultimate power. Love. When you operate from that place, everything else in your life becomes better because of it. Everything. Being in a relationship doesn't stop you from being lonely. Some of the loneliest people I know are married. And you know that's true for you too. Being in a relationship doesn't stop you from feeling isolated or feeling misunderstood, feeling neglected, feeling ignored. It never did. Because all of that is an inside job. You have to do all that yourself. Now the bliss point is when you find a dream mate that you can share all those things with. Then you can be those things with each other. Not because of each other. With each other. And you can learn things from each other's perspectives. Things that you may be blind to. That's the value of having other people in your world. That's the value of having a dream mate. They cover your blind spots. They see your forest while you are looking at your tree. And it can be done. It's being done. It's being done all around you every day. If it's not being done for you, it's because you haven't done what's necessary to make it happen for you. And whenever you decide to change that, it will change for you. But not a moment sooner. Will you change it? Or are you just confused about how? I can understand the confusion. But it's not nearly as difficult as we make it. So let me know if you want to talk about it any further. My private messages are open 24/7. I'm not, but I'll get to them as I can. And if you'd like to go further, we will. And I'll definitely keep you posted about my live event. I'm still venue shopping. So be ready. I'm aiming for the end of June or early in July. I'm anxious to get face to face, to hug some necks and exchange. I'm big on that, in case you haven't figured that out already. So I'm looking forward to meeting you and greeting you. And I'll be back to check your comments. Please feel free to share the video. If you think it'll be helpful, that would be great. I want to be as helpful as I can to as many as I can. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with me in this bright sunshine. You know how I like the sun. I'm going to grab it where I can. even if it's so cold I have to put on a coat to do it. But thanks for coming by. And thanks again for all the birthday love. It really did make 55 pretty special for me. So thank you. And I will see you again soon. Bye bye.